Ferrari, the embodiment of automotive artistry, a symphony of power and precision that has captivated hearts around the globe. From the racetrack to the open road, it has become more than just a car brand. It's a symbol of aspiration, a testament to innovation, and a pinnacle of performance. But beneath its glossy exterior lies a history as fascinating as the machines themselves. A history shrouded in mystery and secrets, where every curve tells a tale of determination and every engine roar echoes with the spirit of Enzo Ferrari's relentless pursuit of perfection. The road to this shining status was littered with struggles, sharp turns, and even dramatic downfalls. Once deemed as the unreachable dream, the brand has also had its moments of nightmares, moments of harsh criticism, and it was not always the holy grail of automobiles it is today. And it all begins in 1898, when the birth of a future legend graced the earth. A boy who would grow into a man who would harness speed and precision to become a formidable race car driver. His visionary instincts led him to become a phenomenal entrepreneur, shaping the asphalt beneath our feet as he founded Ferrari, an iconic brand synonymous with supercar supremacy. This is the story of Enzo Ferrari, also known as Il Commendatore, the commander, and L'Ingegnere, the engineer. Enzo Ferrari's life's work transformed the landscape of motoring, forever raising the bar of what it means to experience the thrill of the open road. What makes the story inspiring is that Enzo Ferrari also came from a humble background, enduring trials to establish a legacy that would redefine luxury sports cars. Enzo Ferrari was born on February 18, 1898, on the outskirts of Modena. His birth wasn't registered until 2 days later due to a harsh snowstorm. His father, who owned a small metal engineering company that employed around 30 people, was responsible for building bridges and roofs for the state railways. This early exposure to engineering sparked Enzo's intrigue for mechanics. Now, at the age of 10, Enzo's passion for racing was ignited. His father took him and his brother Alfredo to a motor racing circuit in Via Emilia in Bologna. The race, won by Felice Nazzaro, left a profound impact on young Enzo. From that point, he aspired to be a racer, but destiny had something else awaiting for him. Soon, life dealt Enzo a severe blow in 1916, when he lost both his father and brother. The double tragedy forced Enzo to abandon his studies and take up work as an instructor in a lathing school at the fire service workshop in Modena, providing for his family in their time of need. Now, the First World War was already in the peak, so in 1917, Enzo served in the Italian army during the First World War as part of the 3rd Alpine Artillery Division. His military stint was cut short due to a severe illness, leading to 2 surgeries and an honorable discharge. Now, Enzo Ferrari, after recovering from his illness after serving in the war, was eager to get back to work. He applied for a job at Fiat, a well-known car company based in Turin, but unfortunately, he was not successful. However, as they say, when one door closes, another opens. Towards the end of 1918, Enzo found a job as a test driver at a smaller company in Turin. This company built vehicles called torpedoes that were very popular at the time. These vehicles were constructed on a lightweight truck frame. Still driven by his passion for cars and engines, Enzo decided to move to Milan, a big city with more opportunities. There, he got a job with a car maker called Costruzione Meccaniche Nazionale, or CMN for short. Enzo started out as a test driver for CMN, a job that required him to test the performance and quality of the company's cars. However, it didn't take long for his talent to be recognized, and he was soon promoted to the role of race car driver. Enzo's first race was in 1919 at the Parma Poggio di Perceto, a competition where drivers raced up a hill. He drove a car with a 2.3-liter 4-cylinder engine, and despite being a newbie, he managed to come in 4th place in his category. This was a good start, and it marked the beginning of his racing career. Later in the same year, he participated in another race called the Targa Florio. Unfortunately, he encountered a problem. His car's fuel tank started leaking, which made him lose more than 40 minutes and affected his performance. Despite the setback, Enzo's passion for racing was undeterred. From 1920 to 1924, he was part of Alfa Romeo's racing team, and he managed to achieve a lot of success during this time. One of his most notable victories was at the Coppa Acerbo at Pescara. Continuing his journey in the racing world, Enzo Ferrari took part in many competitions as an official driver for Alfa Romeo in 1921. He achieved impressive results, finishing 5th at the Targa Florio in May and getting 2nd place in Mugello in July. But his journey was not without bumps. In September of the same year, while preparing for the Brescia Grand Prix, he had a major accident. Trying to avoid a herd of cattle that were blocking the road, he went off the path and crashed. 2 years later, in 1923, Ferrari won the inaugural Circuito del Savio. During this time, he also had the chance to meet Count Baracca, the father of a famous Italian aviator from the First World War, Francesco Baracca. The Count presented Enzo with a signed picture of his son and suggested that he should use his son's prancing horse logo as a mascot for his cars. The logo would later become one of the most recognizable symbols in the automotive world. In 1929, Ferrari made a big step in his career. He founded Scuderia Ferrari in Modena. The main idea behind this racing base was to allow car owners to participate in races. The creation of Scuderia Ferrari marked the start of a new and exciting era in car racing. This team would participate in races using both cars, mostly Alfa Romeos, and motorcycles. By 1933, it became Alfa Romeo's technical center for racing and took over the company's racing department. During the early 1930s, Scuderia Ferrari was the king of motor racing. They were simply unbeatable. However, the situation started to change when German teams, backed by significant funding, began to rise and challenge Ferrari's domination. In 1939, Ferrari decided to cut ties with Alfa Romeo. He couldn't work with the company's new head of racing, Wilfredo Ricart, who he found to be too arrogant. Now, in the early days of car production and selling, things were quite different from how they are today. Early Ferrari models were produced in very limited numbers. Often, they would only make a few copies of each model, and it was common to use parts from previous models when building a new one. Also, Ferrari sold cars to racing teams and individuals who were interested in gentleman racing. These were people who drove track cars similar to those we know today, like the Porsche 911 GT2. The main purpose of selling these cars was to fund their racing activities. In fact, it wasn't until the 1950s that Ferrari started to produce cars in larger numbers. This change was in response to a growing demand for high-performance, road-ready cars and racing cars. For the design of these road-ready cars, Ferrari hired renowned design firms such as Pininfarina and Ghia. As a result, the finished products were not just powerful, but also very stylish and refined. The year 1937 marked a significant achievement for Scuderia Ferrari, as they built the Alfa Romeo 158 Alfetta, a car that would dominate the international racing scene for years to come. By the end of 1937, Scuderia Ferrari ceased operations, and at the start of 1938, Enzo Ferrari was given his new role as head of Alfa Corse in Milan. However, his journey with Alfa Romeo came to an end on September 6, 1939. Leaving the company, Enzo agreed not to use the Ferrari name in connection with races or racing cars for at least 4 years. With that, his aspiration to defeat Alfa Romeo using his own cars became a driving passion. A week after leaving Alfa Romeo, Ferrari launched Auto Avio Costruzione, located in Viale Trento Tresta in Modena. This was the former headquarters of the old Scuderia Ferrari. While racing activities were interrupted due to the war, the first Ferrari car, the 815 Sport, was launched in 1947. Before the war, in 1940, Auto Avio Costruzione had manufactured 2 versions of what Ferrari called the 815, 8 cylinders, 1500cc, built on a Fiat platform for the last pre-war Mille Miglia race. These cars were driven by a young Alberto Ascheri and Marquis Lotario Rangoni Machiavelli of Modena. but they did not deliver expected results. In 1943, at the peak of the war, Auto Avio Costruzione relocated from Modena to Maranello. Here, the initial structure of what would later become the famous Ferrari factory was erected. While in Modena, the company had worked for the National Aeronautic Company of Rome, Piaggio, and RIV in Maranello. The main focus was to create grinding machines, replicating original German tooling machines. The factory, however, did not escape the ravages of war. It was bombed for the first time on November 4, 1944, and then again in February of the next year. However, it was rapidly reconstructed each time. Late in 1945, Ferrari embarked on a mission to design the first official Ferrari. To design a new engine for Ferrari, the responsibility fell to Gioacchino Colombo, an engineer on a break from his work at Alfa Romeo. Enzo Ferrari himself dictated that this engine should have a V12 configuration. This decision was driven by two main factors: the versatility of such a design, which could be easily adapted to both sports cars and Grand Prix racing, and Enzo's personal admiration for V12 engines. His fascination was inspired by the impressive V12 engines by Auto Union, Delage, Packard, and Alfa Romeo. Moreover, Enzo simply loved the idea of V12 engines. He reminisced about envisioning such a layout as early as 1925 and regarded their sound as the epitome of refined Italian engineering. The engine, usually referred to as the Colombo engine after its design, proved incredibly versatile and enduring. Variants of this engine would be used in different Ferrari models in 1988, by which point its displacement had tripled and its power output had nearly quadrupled. The first Ferrari sports car, the 1947 125S, was also the first vehicle to house the Colombo engine. Built specifically for sports car racing, it achieved Ferrari's first victory at the 1947 Grand Prix of Rome with Franco Cortese at the wheel. Out of the 10 races it participated in, it won 6, came second in 1, and retired from 3. Cortese noted that compared to the competition, the 125S was an exceptionally modern machine for its time. Ferrari often refers to the reproduction of the 125S as the starting point of its history, and celebrates its founding date as 1947 during anniversary events. Developed alongside the 125S was the 125 F1, first raced for the 1948 Grand Prix season. The open-wheel racer was identical to the 125S, save for a single-stage supercharger to meet regulations. After launching the 125S, Ferrari manufactured a range of other sports cars in a variety of body styles. Until the late 1960s, all the company's road car models adhered to a specific layout, a front-engine design powered by a V12 engine. Enzo defended this design with a simple phrase: "The horse pulls the cart." For his contributions to the industry and for elevating Italy's status globally, Ferrari was bestowed the title of Cavaliere del Lavoro in 1952. By 1957, the company underwent a name change and became known as Auto Costruzione Ferrari. Moving forward, in the 1960s, Fiat SpA bought a 50% stake in Ferrari. This investment significantly boosted the funds available for research, development, and production. The entry of Porsche into the market also challenged Ferrari's status as the premier European sports car manufacturer. Between 1969 and 1988, Ferrari was a dominant figure in European auto racing, amassing numerous victories and titles, and gaining a strong foothold on the Formula One circuit in the 1970s. Enzo Ferrari passed away in 1988 at the age of 90. The F40 was the last new model he commissioned before his death. Following his passing, Fiat increased its stake in the company to 90% by buying Enzo's shares. Ferrari continued to penetrate new markets, and its vehicles, adorned with the iconic prancing horse logo, are now sold in over 60 countries. Ferrari's internal merchandising division licenses an array of products for branding, including eyewear, stationery, electronics, fragrances, clothing, high-tech bicycles, watches, mobile phones, and even laptops. A decade ago, Ferrari was named the best international luxury brand at the Walpole Awards for Excellence. As part of a collaboration, Ferrari and Puma are creating Ferrari brand footwear, apparel, and accessories for global distribution. In summary, over the past 7 decades, Ferrari has carved out a place for itself as a leading sports car manufacturer and continues to uphold its impressive racing legacy.